Hi guys, so I'm here to do my April, what I read in April. Um, so yeah, starting us off strong, honestly, is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and I imagine this is gonna be a lot of people's either like March or maybe April um wrap ups because it just came out and people love the Hunger Games. I do too. I was a big fan of it back in my day, which was not very long ago. Um, but let's see. I literally, as soon as this book became available on Libby, I borrowed it. Or no, I didn't borrow it. It became available and I got the notification right away and I clicked on it as humanly possible and I still had to wait a long time before I could get the book, but people must be binge reading it because I got it way sooner than expected. It says I was gonna have to wait like 14 weeks, but I ended up getting it like April 1st. I was like, well, you better not be pranking me right now, honestly. Um, but it wasn't, and I got to read it, or listen to it technically, but loved it. Um, I definitely enjoyed it quite a bit. It's been a while since I've read any other books in the series. I first read the like trilogy when I was in fourth grade. And then I read the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes in like a few years ago. So yeah, this book though, it was an emotional roller coaster for sure. This one is about Hamish's Hunger Games, and well, I don't really want to spoil it. Um, but basically, it was tough. It was really, really tough. I think this book definitely had some of the like saddest moments for me, and also, um, I definitely cried. I don't want to spoil anything also, but the thing with Lulu was the creepiest thing that I have ever read in a book, or at least in this series anyway. That gave me the heebie-jeebies. It was like, ugh, this is scary. But, it was also really, actually so heartbreaking and sad. That's all I'm gonna say though, before I become a blabbermouth and say way too much about that situation. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. I was like concerned because, Hamish's games in the original like trilogy had been somewhat described like Katniss and so, but there was a whole lot more to the story, and boy was it depressing. And I mean, I guess you kind of know that it's not going to end well, but yeah, if you've read the trilogy already. But yeah, that is what I have to say about that book. The next book I have to talk about is Homegoing by Yajasi. I hope I am saying that right. Um, this is an interesting book. Basically, it tells the story of two half sisters and their descendants. So it starts with Effia and Essie, and they are, like I said, they were half sisters, but they kind of take different paths in life. One of them is uh becomes enslaved and is sent to the United States, which is where the stories of most of, or all of her descendants take place. And then the other one is married off to a slave trader. So that's interesting. And so yeah, we get a lot of different perspectives because the story takes place over multiple generations. Um, and I thought that is pretty interesting. It wasn't a nice, I like the historical fiction part of it, obviously. Um, some of the things that happened were horrifying, though. And, well, yeah, I've never read a book like this where there's so many different perspectives. And I thought it was interesting because, well, I'd get so into one story and then it would switch to another character's perspective and their story of what's happening with their lives. So, yeah, that was a pretty interesting reading experience, but I enjoyed it. It's kind of hard for me to talk a lot about it though because I don't want to spoil anything. And like tell y'all like what's happening. But yeah, this was a good read. The next book that I read is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by, dang it, I always forget the author. Heather, I wanted to say Heather Frederick, no, Heather Morris, I think. This is a story about a man who is taken to, Auschwitz, and his job is basically to tattoo the numbers on the incoming prisoners, and it basically just recounts his time in the camp and like a little bit after as well, and it shows, what he often tried to help the other prisoners in any way that he can, and he also meets people in there who are important to the story as well. And it's also based off of a true story, which I like. This was like an actual person. I really enjoyed this story. It was difficult at times, with some of the things that happened, but like, that's to be expected. And I think that it was a good read. I feel like it shows the protagonist's bravery and resilience in the situation. And yeah, definitely recommend that book. Gave it 5 stars. Next up is It's Not the End of the World by Judy Blume. This one is the book I mentioned in the previous video about divorce. The main character, Karen, her parents are getting a divorce, and this is a book about what that is like for her and how she is handling it. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting to see how like a book about how divorce can affect the children who really don't have, typically don't have much of a say in this matter, and yet the decision affects them a whole lot. And I guess that is true for a lot of things that kids experience. Their parents make decisions and they don't really have a say, and it affects them quite a bit. Maybe even more than the parents who made the decision. And so yeah, I liked that. Another thing that I noticed, and I noticed this when I read Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, is how the book doesn't end, like, the ending isn't completely, like, resolved, and, like, there's still a whole lot of unknown things, I guess. And I appreciate that Judy Blume does that, because I feel like it's similar to how real life is. And those are really the only 2 books that I've read by her. I didn't read the Fudge books back in the day, but I don't really remember those, though I'm, planning to reread them at some point, and maybe other ones. So, yeah. Oh my goodness, guys. Next up, Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney. Now, this is a book that, when I was growing up, every kid in my elementary school seemed to love this. love these books, and I have never read a single one of them in my entire life. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't really that interested in reading them until I started hearing people being like, oh my gosh, Greg is a menace to society. Greg is the main character, and this book is about his diary. And so I was like, ooh, I wanna read this. I wanna know I wanna be in the loop about this. So, I finally read the first book, and I can agree with everyone who says that Greg is a menace to society, because he really is. Nevertheless, this book was still very funny and entertaining, and I'm hoping to read more in the series at this point, but, or not at this point, at some point. But, yeah. He is not great, does not make a lot of great decisions. So, yeah. The last book that I have to talk about is Olivetti by Ali Millington, and this is an interesting book. It's about a typewriter named Olivetti, and basically he has all the memories and things that everyone has ever written with him. And one day he is sold by the mother slash wife in the household that owns him. He's sold, and then the wife basically disappears. And Olivetti basically uses his memories from what Beatrice, the mother, has written with him to help Ernest, the son, one of the sons, discover where she went and what happened to her. And also another girl gets involved. All three of them kind of try to solve the mystery of what happened to Ernest's mom. And this book definitely took more of an emotional turn than I thought it would. It was very sad sometimes, and it definitely has a lot of themes of just family issues and grief and stuff like that. Also, I never thought I would feel so sad and emotional about for a typewriter, because a lot of the book is in Olivetti's perspective, and so you hear his thoughts as a typewriter, and it's pretty interesting in there, honestly, but kind of sad at times. I feel a little sad for him. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good read. So those are the books that I read in April. I think my favorite was probably Sunrise on the Reaping. Although to be fair, I was looking forward to that book for a long time. But yeah, let me know how your April was. Maybe tell me if you read anything interesting or just how your month went in general. My April was pretty good, pretty busy though. And yeah, overall, it was a pretty good reading month for me as well. So, yeah. Hope y'all had a great month. And I hope y'all are having a great day. And bye for now.